Good evening, waifus and husbandos, and welcome back! Me
Yeah,
to
you were
another
gone.
edition of WaifuCast.
WaifuCast.
Luna Kake.
And I am back. We got me, Lunar Cage,
Luna Cake.
with my boys, Orifice
Orifice, hey.
and Ryusuke.
What's going on, people?
Ryusuke!
He is Goku Black.
Indeed. But also a Namekian.
Yeah.
Dog, if Piccolo was black.
Super Namekian Goku Black.
Sick. I'm down with that.
Yeah, that is an OC I would make.
So I bet you're wondering, what are we going to do this time? Well,
I'm
first
wondering
we're
what
going
we're going
to
to do this time.
Well, firstly, we're going to start with the what have we been doing this week?
Oh,
It's not been a very eventful week for Orifice, that's for sure. I have, I bought a Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Switch.
Okay.
It's, as Thanatos, our biggest fan, shout out to you, buddy, called it, it's baby's first XCOM.
yeah.
And it's fun, it's super colorful, it's actually one of the, prettier games on the Switch that I've seen. It runs on the Snowdrop engine, which,
Snowjob.
hey, it ran, the
Is it
Division.
really called Snowjob?
Snowdrop.
Oh,
Oh.
Snowdrop. I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
that's what the Ubisoft did for,
Okay.
wait, Ubisoft made the Division, right? That's
Yeah.
neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
they did.
Now, speaking of
They did.
Thanatos, though, let me interrupt you for a second. Trevin, how is our Screaming Eagle design coming along?
Tell him it's not.
Come on, trap. My nigga. Come on, dog.
It's it's on the whiteboard.
Oh, yeah, that's the only color it could be, really.
It's a thought. A distant...
It's in
I'm
the
waiting.
design
I'm waiting on that
stages.
screaming eagle.
Fucking last week, while I wasn't here, I was at a meeting at work, and we were introducing ourselves to some of the new people, and they were like, "So we're gonna go around the room. I want you to say your name and your favorite sports team." And at first, I was like, "I don't even like sports," so I was gonna name like Degeneration X or some shit, wrestling team. And I was like, "You know what? Brandon's here. I got you." So it got to me. I'm like, "My name is Kevin, and my favorite sports team is the Screaming Eagles."
Brutal.
Yeah.
Well, as I was saying, I got Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's really fun.
Okay.
It's really deep, challenging, solid game. I also got the Azure Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack for the Switch, which, let me tell you about that hotness. Alright?
Woo!
First time that game has been in 60 frames a second. We've got high-res art for all of the character portraits and the text that appears. All the cutscenes are nice and high-res. It's got Gunvolt 1 and 2. That shit is fucking fire.
Yeah.
Mega Man X, the spiritual successor.
Yeah, we're gonna have to play that for the channel.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And they implemented a lot of really cool new nuances into it, like your ability to. I don't think this is in the older version, but your ability to switch guns on the fly, just with the press of a button.
Word?
Yeah, that and the voice acting was in the Striker Pack, but it's back in this one. It wasn't in the PC or original version. And what else did they put in? 60 frames per second. Yeah, that's about it.
Waifus, yeah, but
Yeah,
it already,
I already had
had
waifus.
Other than that, I finished The Office.
Oh, you finished it?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that shit had me crying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shit was super touching. It was my first time watching it ever, so that was noteworthy. And other than that, I didn't watch any anime or nothing.
Okay.
It was a relatively quiet week aside from those two games coming out, but it's been nice to have those games because I've been enjoying playing them. So, Ryusuke, what have you been up to?
Shit, what did I do this week? Played a little bit of Splatoon. Was, going, also got Azure Striker Gunvolt for Switch.
Hell yeah.
Played some of that. I've cleared the first 3 levels. What else? Watched some, Kakegururi and, Ballroom Yokoso and,
Dog, you do the same shit every week.
Oh, yeah.
Are these shows airing every week?
Yeah, they air every week.
That makes sense. So
And caught up on Fate Apocrypha. Is that what it's called?
how is that?
It sucks. But I still watch it.
Sucks, or it's just not as good as the other shit? Does it legit suck?
It kind of sucks, yeah.
I'm gonna watch it anyways.
So is it like a metal band where instead of guitar they play cello?
You
Something
know
like that.
that's not what it is.
It has its moments, like
Actually,
it
you don't.
has its
Fate
moments. It has some
Apocalyptica.
pretty cool.
Apocrypha. Oh, ha ha!
Has some pretty cool servants and stuff, but
Isn't Vlad Dracula one? Am I wrong about that?
I think you're right. It's such a clusterfuck. I forget about half the people.
All right.
There's too many characters. That's one thing wrong with it.
So just for those who don't know, watch Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, the movie series. It's gonna be better. It's coming out. The first new movie's I think November.
Okay. But yeah, went to the Renaissance Festival. That was pretty cool.
Renaissance.
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 Renaissance. Oh, okay.
Who cares?
Yeah, and yeah, that was about it.
Speak louder into the microphone.
I'm leaned over so people can hear me.
But you're all soft.
My bad.
All right. So what'd you do?
Yeah.
In
So
Otake?
in the 2 weeks that I have been missing, I played some more Xenoverse
Sounds about right.
because I gotta make me some more female Saiyans
Sure.
Okay.
because I loves them, and my female Majin Rue.
Oh my god.
She's so pretty.
You made a
though.
pink, like...
She's pink, yeah.
Is it RUE?
Yes.
What?
It's actually pronounced Rue,
Rue.
but Majin Rue for the name scheme rhyming convention.
I'm just glad that it wasn't RUU.
No, that's silly.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you do that?
It's
Why is that silly?
You're fired.
It's consistent with the spelling from boo.
Get a moment of silence here for. Anyways,
So, other than that, I also bought Dragon Quest Heroes, the first one, because
Okay.
I saw the second one was out. And I'm like, man, that's cool. I really wanted the first one ever since I got my PS4, but never really got around to getting it. So then I did.
how is it?
It's pretty cool because, like, sure, it's a Dynasty Warriors game, but there's also actual RPG shit going on in there. You know?
That's the one thing I will say, and I don't like Dynasty Warriors very much, so like I haven't played a Dynasty Warriors game since I think the very first Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I mean, we did play Fate
Ew.
Extella, but it's not even made by Tecmo Koei, so it's not really a Warriors game, just in that vein. Anyways, though, I never really was a big fan, but I like how these new ones that they're doing are borrowing really heavily from the games that they're kind of spinning off of. Like the Fire Emblem one, I'm pretty sure has the weapons triangle in effect and
Right.
whatnot. So this is an aside. I thought that
And
was
it'd
neat.
be cool if there was a support system still too. You know, who knows? Getting some waifus and shit. Also, as far as anime, watching My Hero Academia, obviously,
Okay.
and then we're watching this thing called Sakura Quest. I'm not really huge on it, to be honest. But me and my buddy are watching it, and he wants to watch it, so it's like, all right, cool.
There's this anime I just saw a trailer for, or maybe it was a Funimation announcement. I think it's called Black Clover.
Black Clover?
Yeah.
Oh, sounds vaguely familiar.
I'm gonna look it up so you guys. Yeah, it's this. It's about mages and shit.
Okay.
And
Yeah, it's a shonen fight anime, or manga that is going to be an anime.
Oh.
do you know about it?
I do know about it, yeah. I've never actually read it, but I heard it was good.
Yeah. Well, Funimation is gonna do a simuldub
Okay.
in I think in October.
Funimation's doing it?
Yeah.
That means I can't watch it on Crunchyroll.
Well, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to watch the sub there.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I've been fucking getting hype for Dragon Ball Fighters. Like, really haven't been doing a whole lot, just working, surviving, playing games. I made my cat a bed.
Yes, you showed me a photograph.
I love my cat. His name is Max. He's actually not mine, but he has chosen me. So, he might as well be mine.
Hey, I have a cat, and his name is Draco.
Yeah.
I didn't name him though, because if I would have named him, I wouldn't have named him Draco.
I didn't name him Max either, but at the same time, if I would have named him, it probably would have been like Optimus or some shit. So, I never even call him by his name because he never fucking answers to it. So I just say, "Hey, buddy, what's up, buddy boy?"
I would have named him Sir Pounce.
That's
That's
Sir
eggnog.
Pounce a lot.
No, just Sir Pounce. It's a
Mr.
Game of Thrones reference.
Mr.
Oh,
Fluffykins.
okay.
Oh, so it's not cool because it's a Game of Thrones reference?
What?
I'm
just
about to
said,
put this cigarette
I
out
think that's
your
exactly
What,
what we're
nigga?
saying, Derek.
What
Huh?
the fuck?
That's
I'm about to
exactly
put this
what we're
cigarette
saying.
out in all four of your guys' eyes.
Boss up, nigga.
Boss up.
Take your glasses off!
No, bro.
Step up before you get put down.
Word. So today we're gonna be giving a lot of love and talking exclusively about 2D games.
Woo.
Giving a lot of love to. I decided on this topic for us kinda because I've been finding out about a lot of indie games, and Azure Striker obviously was a huge kind of like push towards this because I've got this passion for Metroidvania games. I love them. They're some of my favorites. It's actually next to JRPGs, it's my favorite genre of game. And up until this kind of like indie boom, they were like sorely lacking. They just weren't made. And now we're starting to see some that like break the mold and challenge the way that a Metroidvania can be. And not even just Metroidvanias, just games like Sonic Mania, games like Shovel Knight, games like Hyper Light Drifter.
That's not a side scroller.
But it's still 2D.
Oh, okay.
I'm just talking about 2D.
Okay.
2D art, I guess, is so we're
Like sprites.
sprite-based
Okay,
graphics and
all
stuff
right,
like that is what we're talking about.
It really it ages very well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. It's one of those things where it's like it's more akin to a painting than like CG is
Right.
like to like photorealism. You know what I mean?
Because like even when you go back to say like Final Fantasy VII, right? That aged, as far as the graphics, have aged horribly.
Well, yeah, and if you look at the game immediately before it, Final Fantasy VI, its graphics are not poor.
Yeah.
By
Because
comparison.
it was sprite.
Yeah, and it's like the sprite work of the Super Nintendo era had some gems. There was absolutely beautiful sprite work done. But today, one of the biggest things is that they're able to do it in high res, so you're not like limited to a full screen setup or whatever. You can make it as the art as high res as you want to and scale that.
Yeah.
And just the level of detail we're seeing in some of these games, like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, for instance. That game was made in like 1997 or something like that. Is when it came out. I'm not 100% on that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was a PlayStation era.
PlayStation era game.
That's probably about right.
But it was a sprite-based game, and it was one of the prettiest at the time. The animations were really well done. Everything was super detailed, and
Alundra,
yeah.
another PlayStation 1 era sprite-based game, and that game still looks beautiful too. Like if you were to play that, and like if it was widescreen, like honestly, if you were to release an HD remake of that game, all you would have had to do was just widen the camera, that's it. So I gotta change about it.
That game was great. Fun fact, actually, that game's in the same series as a game called Landstalker.
Yeah.
For the Sega Genesis, and I didn't realize that until recently, actually. Be that as it may, I feel like we should break this down into like the different like genres, so like RPGs, side scrollers, and stuff like that, because I want to talk about like Mega Man,
Top down, isometric.
yeah,
Okay.
all that stuff. So let's start with side scrolling. I figure because it's going to be the largest, probably the most games I want to talk about. So like with 2D platformers, 2D side scrollers, 2D side scrolling action games, there's a lot of different kinds of them. You've got your basic platformer like Mario, where it's just proceed through the level, and those are great. I actually like some of those games are some of my favorites. Like Klonoa. Klonoa is more of a 2.5D game.
The one for the PlayStation was, but you could say that
the Game Boy Advance ones,
yeah.
and I played both of those, and those are great.
That was one game I never got to play. I never got
Klonoa?
to play Klonoa. Yeah.
Those are great.
I always
It's
wanted
like
to.
literally
and I never got
$5
to.
on the PSN.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
You could play it on your Vita.
yeah,
Okay.
If you want.
or your PS4. Or,
Well, not your PS4.
PS3, but whatever. Great game. 2.5.
Matter of fact, if you've never played Alundra, you should play that too. That's $10 on PSN.
Really though, where my love comes through is games like the side-scrolling action games like Mega Man, Castlevania, even though it's got RPG elements as a side-scrolling action game. Metroid. Those are more of the Metroidvanias, but they all Contra Hardcore for the Sega Genesis is one of my favorite games of all time, and even though it's not highly detailed, the cityscapes and the backgrounds and stuff are some of the best. I feel like the level of expression that 2D was able to do back in the day is still pretty incredible, because like Super Metroid, when you think about when that game came out, it conveyed isolation and not necessarily horror, but that it was really truly like a prelude to survival horror in a lot of ways, and it did it through no narration, no spoken dialogue, really just you side-scrolling through an interconnected world.
Yeah.
And like Mega Man X, for instance, because I'm, hate me or not, I don't really care for the old school Mega Man games.
I don't either.
There's nothing
I don't blame
special
you.
about them. Mega Man X, the very first game, I think that Ego Raptor talked about this in a video that I think Sequelitis, where he talked about how it was one of the best examples of teaching through doing.
Yeah.
And I think that stands the test of time even today. Shovel Knight learned a lot from that. Shovel Knight does the exact same thing with its mechanics.
Yeah, and again, like you could play Mega Man X1, and it's still a beautiful looking game.
Yeah, and it still holds up mechanically too. It still feels good.
Yeah, even the remake that they did for PSP was really good too.
I think that one of the best parts, actually, Maverick Hunter X was fucking incredible, but that wasn't 2D, it was 3D. It wasn't sprite based.
That's true.
2.5.
Yeah, but I think that one of the coolest parts about like living in the era that we are in right now is that we're seeing modern versions of these kinds of games.
Yeah.
These kinds of games coming back now for the first time in a long time, but with modern sensibilities and mechanics that are modern. I don't know. I don't really understand exactly if it was limitations of just the overall thought process of game development back then, that they just didn't know what to do yet, so they went with the more basic stuff. But now you're seeing, like, Azure Striker is just, for all intents and purposes, a Mega Man X game, but it's got crafting, and it's got leveling up, and it's got all these other mechanics for better.
Well, a lot of stuff probably had to do with lack of space.
Well, not only that, but it was like RPG elements being included in a game today is not uncommon.
Right.
True.
And it's like action games and RPGs and whatnot were still being defined back then. So, you know what I mean? Like Mega Man X was just a pure action game. And it was fine.
The closest thing it had to RPG elements was just fucking the upgrades you got.
Yeah, but we got eventually, like, down the road in the Mega Man series, we got the ZX games, which were, they're an extension of the Mega Man Zero games, which in and of themselves were an extension of the Mega Man X games. But in ZX, you got all of the platforming, all the action you got in Mega Man, but you got the Metroidvania-style interconnected world.
Yeah.
In practice, it really didn't ultimately end up very much different, because each area of the world was essentially just a stage with a boss at the end of it, and you could go through it in any order, just like you could go through the stages in any order. So realistically, it was just a different way of presenting you your hub for your stages, but it felt bigger, it felt more expansive.
Yeah, and also Zero was, I think, the first in that line to introduce upgrading weapons, like leveling them up.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was different than just absorbing a power from the boss you just killed.
Yeah.
Like in Mega Man ZX, you got what were called biometals, and instead of getting their power, you literally were wearing their armor.
Yeah.
And you got their abilities and shit.
That was cool.
It was really sweet. It was actually a really neat twist on that. And then, like, now we're starting to see, like, newer concepts, though. Newer games that are coming out that are, like, trying to turn these ideas on their head. Like Hollow Knight, for instance. Brand new Metroidvania-style game. Beautiful 2D art. Just came out, I think, this year, actually.
Yeah.
It was either this... Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of
the way that it separates itself, though, is that you're... For one, you don't get health upgrades in the game. You only ever have 5 hits of damage you can take before you die. But you have a little meter that fills up when you do damage and stuff like that, and you can use that meter to heal yourself.
Yeah.
But that meter is also how you use your skills. So resource management becomes a big thing. And another way that it sets itself apart is with its map system, in that you don't have one to start. You have no map for your interconnected world you're in, but eventually, upon exploration, you'll find a cartographer, a guy that can make you a map. But
Is he silent?
No, I actually think there is dialogue.
There is.
He gives you a map, but you only get the map. You don't know where you are in the map relative. So you have to find a compass to find, where you are relative to where the map he just gave you and stuff. And it's like, it took all these things that were like basic mechanics of these kinds of games, and changed it, made it, flipped it on its head, and it's just neat that we're seeing innovation in games that aren't AAA 3D games, pushing the visual envelope to its limits, more so than we are in those games that are AAA and pushing the visual envelope to its
Yeah,
limits.
because all they're doing is pushing the visual envelope.
But then you've got 2D action games like Sonic Mania that their purpose was not to push the envelope, but to capture the magic of those games of yore.
Yeah.
In a modern context. They weren't really like trying to reinvent the wheel at all. They weren't even really trying to reinvent the Sonic game.
Mm-hmm.
Just take what was great about classic Sonic and add to it. And make
Just
it
put it in a nice little package.
And it has worked. The game's the highest rated Sonic in 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's sold phenomenally well from what I understand. Like, it's got to set a precedent to Sega. They have to look at this and be like, okay, maybe this was a good idea. It's just all good. And I mean, even though the new Metroid coming out for the 3DS isn't 2D, it is a 3D, it's 2.5D, even Nintendo is taking note that people want these kind of games back.
They do.
It's been a big deal. So I think that, I don't know, do you guys want to talk anything else about side-scrollers?
I mean, it depends on, because side-scrolling encompasses a lot of different things, like 2D beat-em-ups.
Yeah.
Are also technically side-scrollers.
Yeah, true that. I mean, we got like Final Fight and Streets of Rage.
Right.
Yeah, like, the two best like beat 'em ups I've played in recent memory were Scott Pilgrim being like my favorite.
Yeah,
because
that
of
game
just
was fucking great.
The sheer amount of like
Content? in
yeah,
it?
content and just customization and
Yep.
all the different moves you had and different ways of using them. And there's one for 3DS. I always fucking forget the name. But it's like fuck.
Is it
I don't
Code
know
of
if
Princess?
No, fuck Code of Princess. But shout out to my boo Laura Bailey. I bought it for you. But fuck Code of Princess.
Fuck Laura Bailey now at this point. Like, she's fucking turned her back on the anime guys.
I mean, you're right. You're right. That's some hoe shit. But
Fucking
like,
what
you know, I love her for who she
bitch.
is. Hey, nigga, don't get
What?
knocked out on this podcast talk.
Hey.
Hey, chill out.
I don't play that shit.
Alright, so what were...
Fuck. There's one for DS. Like, it's called Tokyo River something.
Oh, Tokyo City Ransom.
That's River City Ransom.
River
City Ransom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that game's
okay. I fucking love that shit. Like,
That's alright.
it's like, yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying it because there is a lot of shit you can do in it.
My favorite 2D beat-em up of all time is Dragon's Crown. It's Vanillaware developed.
That is good.
I didn't really like it.
Why?
It's good.
I tried it
Yeah.
because I thought I would like it, but then when I played it, I was like,
I definitely dropped it, but I didn't think it was bad.
I actually finished the game with one class and whatnot, and I definitely think it would have been way more fun if I would have had, like, the team of people to play with.
You didn't hit a nigga out, dog.
We weren't really, like, we didn't chill like that back
Yeah, I
then.
guess that's true.
But for me, though, I liked the fact that, again, it took the side-scrolling beat-em-up and
yeah.
added so much to that concept.
It really did.
It was a so much
It
bigger
was pretty
deal.
meaty, and like even though there were only like a handful of characters, no one's character played the same.
Yeah, and the gear system was really cool. Just,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that game for what it was. That's not like the greatest game of all time, but I'm not a big fan of those games to begin with because I feel like they typically lack content, and that one didn't.
Right.
That was my, its biggest draw to me. Vanillaware in general, though, I mean...
Speaking of them niggas, when is that 13th Sentinel dropping, nigga?
Dog.
I need that shit.
Dude, that Odin Sphere, the remake they did of Odin Sphere Life,
I have that too, and I haven't played it yet.
it's absolutely fucking incredible. Their sprite work is unrivaled.
Yeah, they're G's when it comes to like their artwork. That shit, nigga, Muramasa Rebirth.
Yeah.
Fucking
that too.
I love that game so fucking much.
Yeah, that game's really good.
It's so slick, like just the fluidity of it, and then to be running at 60 on the
I was
fucking
doing
Vita.
JD loops.
Huh?
I was doing Ragna JD loops in that game.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Is there, like, fighting game combos and stuff?
Sometimes. Like, I was able to do some.
Yeah,
I wanted to, I want to play Indivisible. It's coming from Lab Zero Games. They're responsible for Skullgirls, but it's
Okay.
not a fighting game. It's actually more like Valkyrie Profile.
Okay.
It's like a Metroidvania meets Valkyrie Profile because it's a Metroidvania in its exploration and stuff. But the battle system, each of your party members is assigned to a face button, and you can do straight up combos and stuff. Like what I found out that I didn't know, and that makes it even more deeper than Valkyrie Profile, is that each button with each character has different directional inputs that makes them do different moves.
Yeah.
So you could do like straight up fighting game combos in the game and stuff. That game's gonna be fucking legit, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely fucking.
That
phenomenal.
game's been being worked on for so long too. At this point,
Yeah, and well, I feel like they I mean, they've just expanded development a lot because they've made it available on a lot more platforms, and they've added a lot more like crossover
not only
content.
that, but it is a small team.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Making a fighting game is a lot less intensive than making like an actual fucking
RPG.
yeah.
That's true.
As far as like side-scrolling shooters, Mega Man is really like the extent of it for me. I like Contra Hard Corps, like I said, but I don't really like.
Yeah.
I never really cared for those much.
Yeah, Mega Man's been pretty much it for me as far as those types of games. go.
Terraria is one I think is worth mentioning because it's even though it is just 2D Minecraft, it's so much more than that. Like because it's so much more like developed, and there's so much more to do in general.
And
like
it's also not Minecraft,
yes, I don't like Minecraft.
which is a plus.
Yeah, I've never understood the draw in Minecraft, but that's
There's Minecraft.
neither here or there. No, there isn't.
Yes, there
You're
is.
lying to me.
Swear to God.
Look that shit
So
up.
we can go. I guess, let's go to like Overhead, like Zelda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Alundra.
I feel like RPGs can fall into this category too
Yeah,
because the
pretty much.
exploration is Overhead mostly. I want to talk about Stardew Valley as the first one for me because it's new. I've only really seen it. I haven't played it myself because I'm waiting for the Switch release. But Harvest Moon is one of my favorite series of all time.
Harvest Moon's cool.
It's hard to explain to somebody that doesn't know Harvest Moon why that series is appealing because it from the outside it does really like seem like it'd be boring.
I mean, it's comfy.
It's exactly that. It's like a
Yeah.
comfort food of gaming. It's something
It's
that's super
definitely
soothing. And I mean, especially as the series went on, there's a lot to do in those games. Like there's
Yeah.
definitely like goals to set and whatnot. But Stardew
like-
Valley,
It's like playing like Animal Crossing or some shit.
yeah, but
in that
with
sense.
even better in my opinion because like Animal Crossing is literally just collect items and shit
Sure.
and decorate and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just a collectathon. With you got to actually manage a farm in Harvest Moon, and you have like you have shit to do.
It's funny though because one of the big draws of Animal Crossing is that you can play other games within that game.
That's something that I don't think has been in it since the original.
Really?
Or since the GameCube one, because the original was a
'Cause I
64
know
game.
you can
we
play
never
like
got.
The Legend of Zelda and shit in that game.
Yeah. Stardew Valley it's more like Rune Factory than it is explicitly like Harvest Moon because there is combat involved and whatnot, but
I like Rune Factory.
Rune Factory is great, but it's not 2D exclusively, so we can't really include it here. But Stardew Valley is, and that game is just so it's got everything that I want out of a game, like everything that makes 2D so appealing to me. Innovation in gameplay, where you're a farmer, you've got the farm to worry about, you've got selling your farm goods in the town. There's a town economy. There's, from what I understand, you got to like help the town prosper. There's relationship building. There's dungeons. There's combat. Like so much shit in one game, and it's just it amazes me.
And one thing too about 2D as opposed to 3D, and this is more of a general thing as opposed to like something that's limited to genre, but the fact that the only fucking company that was able to capture anime styles with 3D has been Arc System Works, and they did that by making it look
2D.
like it was 2D.
Yeah.
But like when you compare, like say Azure Striker, right, with even something that I can't stop playing like Xenoverse, right? Fucking when you look at some of the models in Xenoverse, you're like, okay, that's not bad, but it's still really kind of weird, you know? Like, you know, it's got the anime look, but at the same time, there's just something off about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, nothing really captures the anime style like a 2D sprite.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true too. 'Cause
No,
back when
I
they
totally
had
agree.
that fan made like Dragon Ball 2D Fighter. That shit looked hot.
Hyper Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
2D gets to put the details in other areas because it's like they're not worried about realism or anything like
You
that.
don't have to worry about how the light reflects off of.
It's all about art direction. Art direction is literally everything in a 2D game. You design the character and then you make those sprites reflect the design you made.
Yeah.
So it's like it just stays way more truer to, I feel like, the artistic vision of the game in 2D, and that's one of my favorite things. Because especially now in the like this rise, because there's a game called Owlboy. It's not. I haven't played it, so I don't really want to talk about it too much in here. But the developer of that game coined the term high bit as this new kind of era of 2D games that we're seeing, because it's like basically the consensus amongst people is that they look like Super Nintendo games but better, and that's exactly what it is. They're able to get closer to their artistic visions in the 2D sprite work.
Yeah, it's kind of like how the devs of Sonic Mania tried to make that game look like it was the Sega Saturn Sonic game if they would have stuck with 2D.
Right.
You know, and I could definitely see that. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine how far 2D could be right now if we never had that 3D. You know?
I think that 3D became a thing mostly because of Hollywood. I feel like Hollywood and big blockbuster movies like Independence Day and stuff at that time really pushed the industry towards developing that kind of technology.
And I mean, 3D is still great when you get it right.
Yeah, this isn't a video to bash on 3D. I just think that I personally feel like the developers shine through so much more in 2D games, and it's like I said, artistic vision is big to me. When I don't like when a game is diluted almost down to a formula, and the artistic vision, that if there ever was one, just is completely lost, and it's about generating revenue.
And it gets to the point too, because here's kind of the big thing why 2.5D has become so like a great thing nowadays, and it all boils down to how much easier it is to make models, but since it's on a 2D plane, you can make the gameplay what it was in a 2D game. Like, think about, like, for games like Dragon Ball Fighters, which is obviously the best looking as far as that kind of representation goes, but then even games like Street Fighter 4 and 5, right? Those are 2.5D games. They're 2D games, but since they're using models and they're so much simpler to edit, you can have alternate outfits and shit like
what that. It is, one of the biggest advantages to 3D versus 2D is that animation in 3D doesn't require drawing anything new. And in any 2D game you see, every frame of animation is a drawn sprite.
Yeah.
And like that becomes complicated when you get to like BlazBlue level detail.
Which is insane because BlazBlue is, like, as far as I know, it's the only 2D game that's strictly sprite-based where one of the characters actually does have an alternate outfit. Because Noelle, she had her hat and shit back in the old days, and then they changed her outfit for the newest games, but then, because, like, they put in the old outfit, too.
And didn't it give her her old Astral, too, or something?
Yeah, but it also gave her her new moves from the new game, which she didn't have back in the old days. So they had to make 2 sprites for that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, yeah, and that doubles down the amount of work for one character.
Right.
Well, because
just to put a skin.
Well, a lot of skins are just color swaps because that's easy.
Right.
Yeah, but to change her whole outfit, yeah, no, I totally see where you're
Meanwhile,
coming from.
in Street Fighter, it's like, okay, we're going to have like 1 million different outfits for these characters.
But all we're going to do is change the clothes.
Yeah, because that's all we got to do.
Yeah, well, and it's a lot simpler that way. But, again, and this bleeds through with these indie games that we're seeing. Like, the development of these 2D games, even though it might not seem like it should take as long as it does, they end up taking a long time because usually it's small teams of people passionate about the game they're making who want to stay true to their artistic vision and whatnot, and it ends up taking a long time because 2D requires effort. Everything is handcrafted.
Yeah. That, and you have people that really do want to make a mechanically fun and sound game rather than making a spectacle.
Right.
Well, they want to release a product that is complete, that is, like... It's like I said, it's about vision. You envision your game, you envision the mechanics you want to incorporate, and as you start to build it, you test what works and what doesn't, but ultimately you try to stay as true to your vision as possible. These games that are coming out that are AAA titles, like, the Assassin's Creed we got for years and years. It was like the only game in that series that I felt like had vision was the first one. And it was like, how can we just make this bigger and better every time after that? And it's like you saw that even with some 2D games, like Mega Man Battle Network. I don't really feel like those games had an artistic vision after the first game. It was just about adding new mechanics and making...
That's true. They were turning those out every fucking year.
And that's where I feel like the difference between these high-bit games and like the 8-bit games of yore is like these require a lot more attention to detail, a lot more dedication in the creation of the games themselves, and thusly a lot more passion. And that bleeds through in the overall products that we're starting to get. Like Inti Creates has made Blaster Master Zero. They made both Azure Striker, Gunvolt games. They made now this Dragon Marked for Death game. And all of those games, with the exception of Dragon Marked for Death because it's not out and I can't say, are great. And they're all products of a passionate team who loved a game, clearly, that inspired them, that wasn't being made anymore.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
true.
I feel like we don't see that as much in the AAA sphere.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as common.
Because it's about making money as opposed to making a great product.
Yeah, hell, even
Right.
when Inafune went off and did like his own thing to do a quote-unquote passion project, it turned out to be ass.
Yeah, but it's like these indie companies, it's like obviously they want to make money, but they want to make money by making a great product. They don't want you, because it's like the indie market's aggressive. You can't just pump out a shit game and
Definitely
get rich.
Unless you're,
Notch.
working on those Sakura games.
The what?
The Sakura visual novels on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
Otome games, man, people pump those out like
Hey,
crazy.
I'd play them.
Kayla loves them.
Yeah, I mean the games in general are good, but like those particular games are literally just trying to market themselves to us. They're not necessarily any good. The Sakura games that you find on Steam,
Yeah.
like some dude who was like, all right, well, let's just throw it on Steam, $15, whatever.
So, I don't know, I guess that necessarily we need to go through all the different genres, because really this has evolved into more of a just general discussion on 2D games. But there's a lot to look forward to as far as 2D is concerned, because like we're starting to see the kind of the rise of independent developers, and we're starting to see these independent developers outdo their AAA counterparts, like on a consistent and regular basis. Like, look at Supergiant Games. I don't know if you've played Bastion or Transistor or not, but both of those games are fantastic.
I
And
have Pyre too, I just haven't booted it up yet.
Pyre, from everything that I've seen, looks fucking incredible. I want that
It
game.
looks gorgeous, dude.
Yeah, and they're like...
soundtrack's fire too.
Bastion was their first game, and its crux, it was kind of like a Zelda, Alundra style, like, isometric action game, but it was narrated, like, in real time. Like, the narration was dynamic based on what you were doing, and it was cool. It was a nifty, like, little thing that had never been done, and Transistor was kind of the same thing, but it also had its own unique combat system, which set it apart. And Pyre is an RPG in almost a sports game.
Yeah, they tricked
It's
them
not
with
a sports game, but it is it's a sports game and an RPG. Like, the battles play out in a little field, and the object is to get this orb that's placed in the field to the other team's Pyre until their Pyre runs out. And you have 3 people in your party or that make up your team, and they all have different skill sets, different ways of moving and whatnot.
And you
have to
also
use
can't
them.
move unless you're holding the ball.
Yeah, so like you have to like use their mobility abilities and whatnot to get the ball to the other side, and it's really strategic and it's a lot of fun and creative. It's something I'd never seen before. It actually had if they would have made an online multiplayer mode for it, it had it could have had competitive appeal, I feel like.
Probably.
But that's
I don't know if they wanted to.
It's just
dip
like
into
I could pick out 10 games where I could talk about innovation in game design in there. They're just 2D games.
Yeah.
That aren't like they're not like the pinnacle of visual excellence or anything. But
But
see,
they'll remain as good as they were the day they came out.
and that's actually
I
kind
would
of the
say
point I was
that
going to say.
like Vanillaware and Supergiant are like some visual excellence shit. And
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that great 2D art is actually probably more visually excellent than great 3D art because it will stand the test of time.
right.
There's never going to come a point where...
Like, for example, we talked about it already, BlazBlue, right? It's purely a 2D sprite-based fighting game, HD sprites. I think it was the first HD 2D fighting game.
Yeah.
Because, like, Guilty Gear didn't go into HD at that point.
I remember, BlazBlue was the first.
Yeah, but those sprites are all amazing, and they can get fucking huge before you start to see the fucking, pixels and shit. And the art direction in that game is also insane. And you think about that game came out in Japan late 2008.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, it will never look bad,
right,
though,
and,
ever.
And getting to my point, those sprites, with the exception of, like, obviously the new characters that came out as each installment of the game came out, Jin, right, he was in the very first game, he's in the current game. He has not changed.
Mm-hmm.
As far as his design, how he's sprited, they have used the same fucking sprite, except for, obviously adding new attacks and shit like that.
Right.
But the same overall sprite sheet has been used since day one till 2017 because they can, and it still looks amazing.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I don't know, it's just a testament to art direction, like you were saying. And what I was going to say is it's like, look at like Street Fighter Third Strike. You might not care for the game, but it still looks good, and that game's like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
and
like
it still looks good, like you said.
Still looks really
It looks less good when you play it on a shitty CRT. You
Well,
know
right,
what I mean?
Either or Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yeah.
Or just like 2D holds up very well.
Yeah.
And
even though it still looks a little weird due to like the fact that it is so old, and it has nothing to do with the graphics, more so the actual design. But when you look at Street Fighter 2, that game still looks good.
yeah, I mean it doesn't look
Yeah,
terrible,
I
and
just
that
played
people
it.
still play it today.
Yeah.
I just played it a couple weeks ago. It was pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean it's not horrible, and it's like we said, Mega Man X.
Yeah.
That game still looks great, and that game's old as fuck.
Like what was that, mid 90s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Very early 90s. Let's get a date.
We do have the
That was
internet.
super early 90s.
It was so early 90s, it was 89.
It came out 93.
Yep.
So it's over.
24 years old.
It's
Damn.
24 years old, and it's still gorgeous.
I'm 20.
Holy shit. There's a member of our team who is younger than Mega Man X.
Well,
God damn.
I think that we gave a pretty solid ode to 2D games here.
Yeah.
Now, before we go, we want to let you guys know we're also on Facebook, so you can search WaifuCast and find us on Facebook.
Sure enough.
We're also on Twitter. You can search WaifuCast on Twitter or just at WaifuCast. We are on SoundCloud. That's where you can find the audio-only version of this
And our
podcast.
mixtape.
Also that. We have an RSS feed through SoundCloud, so if you have a podcast player that you like to use, and you can do that.
We still on iTunes?
Yes, we're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. Just search WaifuCast.
We have an Instagram.
Well, what is that? Is it at WaifuCast?
Yeah,
it's
at WaifuCast.
Instagram at WaifuCast. We have a Redbubble page,
We have shirts.
which is WaifuCast Productions.
And
if you
mugs,
search that,
nigga. I'm about to
find
order
us.
that shit. I forgot to do it by mugs here.
We have shirts, we have mugs, we have laptop cases, we have duvets.
We got all a duvet.
It's a bed cover, my dog.
Damn.
Oh, damn.
We
You
have
can
it
sleep
all.
with your waifu cast.
Now, we're not big on plugging our stuff, but
We
if
really should start.
we really should start, and it would mean the world to us if you'd give us a like.
And with
or a
YomaCon coming
follow.
up, you'll
Oh,
be able
yeah.
to see us all at YomaCon.
Yes,
Definitely.
YomaCon
We will all be
2017
there.
is going to become WaifuCon 2017.
And hopefully all of us will have shirts by then. So that we
I'm
can
going to make it
wear them
rain
around.
business cards everywhere. It's going to be the shit.
we are going to be in business at WaifuCon
You know.
or YomaCon
If
live.
I go ahead and slide a business card in your girl's titties, dog, don't get offended.
Yeah, just know it's all business.
It's for a good cause.
No.
And as we do it, as we slide our business card gently between the cleavage of your woman,
This nigga's
we'll
so
look you
clever,
right
dog.
in the eye and we'll say softly,
You're so extra.
"Don't forget your wife."
Don't forget your waifu.